Hey guys, Thaddeus here with Chainburgers Garden. Just giving you a quick update about what we got going on here today. Everything, for the most part, is all planted. Woohoo! Yay! Right? Everything's all planted, and so I'm really happy about that. Only thing left to plant is Mizuna, and I burned a few plants up in the process using the heat lamp. So I just got some more tomatoes coming. Not tomatoes, but peppers. We just got to replace some sugar rush peppers and some Buena Malata. I have some here, but I'm kind of worried about sometimes since they got hit pretty hard with the heat lamp. Normally I back the heat lamps off at night, and for whatever reason, um, it I just didn't do it that night. I'm not sure, but it's kind of what I want to talk about today about carving out time and carving out space. But first, I'll give you an update of what we got going on. Um, all the arugulas are up. Lettuces are just beginning to come up. What's that? More lettuce, more arugulas, lettuce, arugula. I just put carrots down last night, so they won't be up for a while. I did make the mistake of leaving the plastic on them for too long, so they kind of all wimpy looking. Some of them, and see, in this one I took it off before they even came up, and they look fantastic. So just watch your plastic when you put it on there. Don't leave them on too long. Once you see a few start popping up, go ahead and take them off. Normally I do that, but I just I know lettuce is kind of finicky. It's a finicky little plant when it gets started. So just be mindful of that. But everything else is pretty good. All the tomatoes came up. Remember we used the heat lamp trick last time, and I think in about 2 days all the tomatoes were up. I think that's cherry tomato there. Uh, these are some peppers here. More peppers back there. And these are, what are these? Okay. Bloom spinach. So it's them there. They look alright. Um, they look okay. I'm satisfied with them, of course. You know, dwarf kale looks great. I was worried about them being too leggy, but nothing is really leggy. Uh, I went ahead and took I went ahead and took the. I think I probably made a mistake here taking it off already. I went and took the plastic off the top of the thyme. I don't know. Hmm. Look all kind of shrimpy looking. See, a couple of them look kind of dead. Because I thought they were going to be smothered by the plastic. But what I may do is I may moisten them back, put the plastic back over them to, I guess, get their little. Just to keep the soil a little moist than it is. It's loaded with peat moss, so it's plenty wet, but maybe it's not wet enough for them. So what I'm probably gonna do is I'm probably gonna put the plastic back on them. I'm seeing a couple of them just look sickly, sickly looking. I mean, the rest of them look pretty healthy, but some of them just look a tad bit too frail for my liking. Um, this is bloom spinach. It went down late as well, and it is a little dry. I haven't watered yet, so I'm gonna come back and hit them all with water. Oh, we got a third leaf back there. We got third leaf action going on back there with that. What's that? The lacinato kale. So we got some third leaf action going on. So I'm pretty happy about that. Um, that's Portuguese kale. For whatever reason, I know Portuguese kale flows out. So that's my only guess as to why it's taller than everything else. Um, so I'm guessing it's on its way. It's a kind of a sprawling kale. Peppers and all the stuff down there. But water. I just got to water. That's pretty much it. Only thing left to plant is Mizuna, which is a kind of summertime kale. But really, I want to talk about time, right? Because carving out time and space is very critical when it comes to doing this stuff. I think the bigger the garden gets, the more time and the more space it requires. Um, it is one of my favorite basketball players of all time is Zach Randolph, better known as Zebo, right? Zebo was probably the greatest, one of the most fundamentally sound power forwards or centers. I don't know how you describe Zebo of all time, right? He's one of the most fundamentally sound. I know he gets a bad rap because of some of the stuff he did in his past, but I mean everybody that done some stuff in their past they ain't too proud about, or maybe they're doing stuff in the present that they know it's not right. But you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But he's a perfect player. I think he's a tier below Tim Duncan. You know what I'm saying? As far as Tim Duncan and Kevin McHale. Okay, I'm getting too much into the NBA, but he's a tier below Tim Duncan and Kevin McHale and KG, man, as being one of the most fundamentally sound basketball players at the power forward position of all time. And if you were like me, um, when you were younger, you played point guard. You got taller, you put you up forward, probably put you at the 4 to 5. And if you're not athletically inclined, I could dunk, but I'm not. I'm not gonna set the world on fire. Um, but he was so fundamentally sound, and what was so great about him is, man, he used all of his. Well, he couldn't jump over a phone booth. I'm gonna put not a phone booth, but over a phone book. And but he used his body and his mind, and he just carved out space, man. He just carved out the space and the time. And he boxed out on offense and defense, and it's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal thing to watch. You got a little, a kid, a boy or a girl that wants to play on the block and play old school basketball. Probably need to look up Kevin. You probably want to look up Zebo, Zach Randolph. But he used what he had, and he just carved out space and just carved out time. And I think that's what's required of us. So often, man, when I was thinking about growing this bigger garden, man, I one, I worried about the space, and I got space, and then I worried about the time, because I have a serious schedule, a real serious schedule, and but the enemy is so great, man, at just coming in and just trying to limit you within your own space, right? The space that you know you got, the time, the talent that you know you got. The enemy is so fantastic. I don't want to give him that much credit, but I'm going to give him credit. He's fantastic at limiting you within your own space. So all this and that and that and all that stuff going on over there, right? He for whatever reason, man, I was just like, man, I ain't gonna have enough time to do all this. And then I started thinking about, once I get this stuff started, man, what who I'm gonna sell it to? And what am I gonna do with all this stuff? Like, and but even though I have the talent, I've got the knowledge. I'm always willing to learn more from people who know more than me, or who don't know as much as me. I put that like that because you can always learn from anybody. But the enemy was so fantastic, man, at just taking what I knew I had available to me, and then all this endless knowledge, not endless. I don't want to brag, but these grand ideas, these great universe ideas. Like, I want to create food in food deserts. I'm very aware of some food deserts that I work in, some of the food deserts that are here in this area as well, and just be able to serve that community in some shape or form or fashion. Like, I don't care if I have to sell this to the higher up class just so I can bring wealth, so I can bring it back down to to people that are very underserved, or take this food directly to people who are underserved. Either way, I just need that want to move just some capital back into the communities that are very underserved. But anyway, that's a very grand idea. That's a big idea. But the enemy is so fantastic, man. I'm giving him too much credit, but he is outstanding at taking that, which could be very vast, and putting it down in one little space and wrapping it up in a bow and handing it to you in a ring box or something like that. Right? But then I got to thinking, man, and then I just think, man, I have to take that Zebo mentality, man. I got to carve out this space, right? If the enemy wants to take all my grand ideas and just squeeze them down, right? Because he's hitting on some of the things that I'm worried about. I'm worried about, will this sell? Will this not sell? Who's my clientele? What am I gonna do? Who's gonna take this stuff? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm black. There's not many black farmers here in this area. There's not many black producers of anything around here, and doing it on a big scale. I'm not even a big scale, but right. And then you watch YouTube. I watch YouTube videos, and I see. This is not about race, but I see Caucasian farmers just starting farms overnight. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking to myself, why can't we start farms overnight? What is limiting me? What is the How is the enemy moving that limits me? Why I have to take this opportunity, this stuff, and it's not a lot. I got to take this opportunity to carve out my space, right? I got to take this opportunity to carve out my time, and this takes a lot of time as well. So definitely, if you're going to grow, you just have to be mindful of that and just understand that it's going to take a lot of time. I watched a couple of YouTube videos. People can't even. Some people have to plan out their vacations, have to plan out when they're going to be able to leave because they got to have someone to take care of their plans. And I got to think to myself, is this worth it, right? So then, you know, you begin to limit yourself. Like, is this really worth it? Like, what am I doing here? But you have to carve out your space. I just have to tell the enemy, hey man, I'm carving out my space. I'm getting my Zebo on. Zebo. Hey, I'm carving out this space. I'm taking elbows and I'm taking knees. I'm taking everything. And I'm taking this space back because my space was unlimited to begin with. And somewhere along the way, you know, you begin to just think, you know, when you don't see a lot of people like you doing what you're doing. And then let's be quite honest with you. When we were people that looked like me were doing it, it was taken away from us. Right? Millions and millions of acres was taken away from us. So I think that shies us away. That automatically we've been limited from Jump Street. Because when we were doing it, and we were fantastic at doing it, because this nation is built upon what we did, of course. But when we were not in bondage, when we were free, we were fantastic in the field of agriculture. And somewhere along the line of all that being taken away from us in the middle of the night, in the middle of the day, in the afternoon, in the winter, and in the summer, and then in the spring, and in the process of all that being taken away from us, we internally became restricted within our own space, and we, as African Americans, we just stopped doing it. Because what's the point? And not only that, some people hearken agriculture back to slavery, and so it's seen as something less. You know what I'm saying? It's seen as something that's not very profitable. Trust me, I am an art. I was an art major, and I understand when you look like you're going out for a degree, and you don't think there's gonna be any money coming in, right? And you don't really do it for the money. You're just doing it because this is what you love to do. And at one point in time, this is what we as black people we love to do, right? This is what families and generations were built on that. But when that's taken away from you, now the enemy steps in. He squeezes you out of that. He squeezes you out of the space that was yours. So this form of agriculture and self-sustaining becomes frowned upon. And then you in a community that where not only then we begin to be squeezed out of our own space, but then after now we've left the space that was once helping us to sustain our communities, then the enemy comes back in, or big capital, whatever you want to call it. It steps back in, and then it squeezes us out of another space to which now we don't even have grocery stores to go to. Because remember, we don't have the land to grow it. We don't have the time to grow it because we're working like dogs to just survive. So we just got pushed out. And at some point in time, we have to look at ourselves and we have to say, I'm carving out my space. I'm taking back what is mine. I inherited it. I was born with it. It's mine. I'm going to have it. If I'm playing basketball, I'm on the block. I'm 6'2" and 245 pounds. You're not going to get in my way. You were gifted with the ability to grow. You don't have to have acres and acres of land to do it. You don't have to have acres and acres of space to do it. You don't have to have a bunch of money to do it, quite honest with you. Even though seeds are expensive, but there are avenues in which you can acquire seeds. and start your own. And this doesn't. You don't have to apply this just to gardening. If it's carpentry, or whatever. Excuse me. Whatever your field may be that you feel like you're being limited in, not by your own doing, but just by word of mouth doubt, right? And the enemy works like that. He just puts something out there. He just put a little doubt out there, and the doubt would just spread and jump from person to person to person. And by the time we get back to you, be like, man, I want to do that. I want to go through that. I don't want to see that. I've seen that person fail. Why would I want to set myself up to fail again? Fail like them. You know what I'm saying? Word of mouth doubt. It ain't never happened to you, but you heard about it. I ain't ever, you know what I'm saying? I guess when land was taken away from minorities, African Americans in particular. Well, I didn't personally experience it, but my great grandfather did. His father did. They experienced that. I don't want that to happen, man. Like, I mean, they succeeded in that realm, and then they were punished for their success, right? So why would I want to? I gotta carve out this space. I gotta carve out my time. At the same time, I want to give, but I also want to receive. Gardening is that. It's fundamentally, it's giving, but it's also receiving. Because you're receiving, you're giving. Of course, you're feeding, you're fueling people, you're giving back to the environment. And what you receive is you receive a cleaner environment and a healthier people around you, which helps the sustainability of your culture, at least of your environment, your neighborhood, your peoples. I guess this was a word from the garden, but I think it's really a word for the basement because the garden is we're still in waiting mode. In a few months, in a few weeks, it'll be time to plant. And you could probably plant right now too if you just want to put some plastic over them. They'll be okay. But I would hold off on planting at least for another 2 weeks if you're in the South or like mid-South, zones like 7 and down. I know up north you guys will have a little bit longer wait, but great things come to those that wait, right? But anyway, and I said this because I was triggered by this because I was thinking, me and my wife were having a discussion, and it was like how much time is needed down here, and I got to thinking to myself, well, I don't know. I don't know how much time is really needed to grow things, and like I never thought about taking this and putting it in the constraints of time, right? But then it came to me and it just said my time down here is valuable. Hey man, you gotta recognize when what you're doing is of value to you, is of value to somebody else, it's the value of your family. Think about that. So it's not just garden. It's just not growing plants and making stuff green and watching stuff grow. It's about now. It's about changing the mindset. At least in this garden, right? And I think you should be in your garden too. About changing the mindset of understanding. Right, this is my power. This is my space. This is my time. This is my moment, and I'm gonna take that joy. I'm gonna carve this thing out in me, whether you like it or not. You ain't gotta like it. Yeah, I know he ain't gonna like it, but it don't matter to me. No way. I'm gonna carve this space out, and from this comes more wealth, not just for me, but for all my peoples. So I ain't got a bunch. That's all I got to say today, guys. Next, I'm gonna start putting together the sprinkler system, so we'll walk through that process in a few weeks, and also we'll talk about what to plant, where to plant it. I had this big idea of drawing out this big diagram and pointing here and pointing there and doing that. Times that I had to actually put in some work down here first to do that before I go through that. So, but I thank you guys so much for watching. I pray that what was said here today will not only inspire you, but to grow, but yeah, to grow in general. Like you ain't gotta think about it as plants, but just to grow in general. Um, thank you so much for watching. I pray the atmosphere that you're moving in, that you're building in, that you're growing in, and that you're carving out that space. I pray that atmosphere is of nothing but God. Ha! I pray it is of nothing but God. And where you touch and where you land and where you walk and where you stand is fertile. It's not barren. It's not dry. It's fertile. I pray that and so much more. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. But just watch. I don't care about all the other stuff. Just so long as you get something out of this, that's all that matters. Thanks so much, guys.